Welcome to Healthy Buzz, the podcast for women who are craving honest answers in a supported community. Hosted by Brandy Homerding, a certified nutrition therapy practitioner who believes your body isn't broken, but the narrative around women's health is. Each week, we're diving deep into holistic health topics, challenging the one-size-fits-all approach, and empowering you to trust your own informed intuition. Get ready to feel seen, supported, and seriously informed. This is Healthy Buzz, where collaboration meets unfiltered transparency in women's health. Lately, the word longevity is everywhere, but it usually sounds like a part-time job involving ice baths, 20-hour fasts, and a list of things that you are no longer allowed to enjoy. Today, we're flipping that script. Today, I'm joined by Emily Horstman of healthspan, who believes that the secret to long life isn't more discipline, it's more self-respect and joy. We are going to discuss why your health journey shouldn't feel like a punishment and how to build a life that you actually want to live for a long time. Emily is a mission-driven registered dietitian who specializes in longevity through small, sustainable daily actions. She combines expert guidance with consistent accountability to help her clients transform healthier choices into habits that stick, all while having fun along the way. Her holistic approach addresses nutrition, sleep, stress, lifestyle, exercise, hormone balance, and gut health. Emily infuses empowerment, empathy, and a commitment to enhance quality of life into everything she does, both with clients and throughout her community. Emily, welcome to today's show.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, Emily, we hear this word longevity thrown around a lot these days. I feel like it's become a little bit of a buzzword. So I would love to hear, because I think that you were involved with this all before longevity became so buzzworthy out there. But I would love to hear from you what your definition of longevity means.
Yeah, so I love that you asked this, and my answer might be unsatisfying. I actually feel like I use it as a way to be clear about what I'm doing and be clear about my mission because everybody kind of knows what that means. It means like staying power, sustainability, so longevity in your life, like your life stays for longer, right? But we're all really familiar with the word lifespan, right? The length of your life. But the thing, and what I named my practice after, healthier span, is actually health span. So how many of the years in your life are spent healthy? So that doesn't mean you don't get sick or get acute illnesses or have accidents or things like that, but like you're not brought down and have your quality of life limited by chronic diseases. How long can you go until that happens? So it's really about quality, but yeah, I mean, there's longevity in everything, like longevity in a relationship, longevity, it just means how long is this going to last?
Yeah, but I like that you're flipping this a little bit to not only how long can this last, but how long could this be a healthy, quality backed duration of something that we're doing. How did you get involved with this work? What made you want to make your focus, as what you do as a registered dietitian, to be on longevity and having a healthier lifespan?
There's so many reasons. I began my career in the traditional dietitian settings, or especially what we used to think of as traditional settings, hospitals, nursing homes, cardiac rehab. And I was putting so much energy into helping people who were already really sick and people who weren't that interested in making big changes and people who were already honestly really worn out by our healthcare and medical system. And so, it always felt backwards. There's so much to be said about the world of nutrition and the way that and so much to be said about how it fits in with our healthcare model. But really, I just wanted to focus on prevention. And so the thing that really people are drawing and why longevity kind of works to describe myself quickly is it's very prevention rooted. And I think most people are tying those two together. So I really wanted to be in this space because this is where a much bigger impact is possible. And I know it's not for everyone, and I've spoken about that as well, but it is for some people. And those people, I mean, everyone deserves this information, but if you're willing to focus on, your quality of life and being proactive and being preventative, you have so much more power.
I resonate with that so deeply. So prior to becoming a nutrition therapy practitioner, I was an interventional radiology tech working in traditional healthcare. Gosh, I was in traditional healthcare for 15, 16 years. I did 14 years as IR and some time before that as just a regular x-ray tech. And I saw that myself too. I saw that our healthcare system seems a little bit broken. We keep seeing the same patients coming in. And yes, what we're doing is life-saving and it is needed. Like we were doing these really cool, amazing procedures to help people expand their lifespan, right? To overcome some of their illness. But there was a huge component that was missing was a diet and lifestyle aspect. And who is working with people and talking to them about how we can enhance these procedures that we're doing, enhance their life by addressing environment, nutrition, lifestyle, and how that can have such a positive impact on their outcome.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
It's absolutely huge. And I think you spend any time in healthcare and you either have to completely just bend to it. And most of us do that for a certain amount of time. We just give in because we need our career, we need our job. And then when the opportunity presents itself to do what feels more right to you, and then you take it, not only are you taking energy and power in a concept, but you're giving it to other people as well. It's just very cool.
Yeah, it's empowering people a little bit more, educating
Yeah.
people a little bit more, showing them alternative options to things that maybe they haven't really explored yet on their own, or maybe they feel restricted or confined. And so having somebody kind of lead them through a different alternative way to do something can be
Yeah,
pretty empowering for a lot of our clients.
absolutely.
So, with a lot of longevity experts out there, they're focusing on a lot of biohacking and restriction. Now, I know that you focus a lot on self respect. So, how is that shift? Let's talk a little bit about like the biohacking world, what purpose that serves in longevity, and how you're shifting more to the self respect space.
Yeah, so I mean, I really just focus on meeting my clients where they are. Some of my clients have a lot of interest in some of the biohacking concepts, and some of them do not. And I meet them where they are, and we try to like go through different concepts and we are exploratory together and stuff. But if something's not applicable to them, it's not applicable to them. The biohacking, so we tend to work as human beings, we tend to work, think, play in extremes. So I think from a zoomed out cultural perspective, healthcare, especially like dietitians, tend to try to like protect everyone all the time. Like, let's dismiss this biohacking stuff because it's not attainable for everyone and not everyone wants to think about it. Let's just homogenize all of everything and all of our advice. And that's not at all what I believe. So I think it's just another set of potential extremes. But if there aren't people out there pushing the limits and exploring the extremes, the norms never change. So there's a lot of things in the biohacking world that, like, again, you need to just use your critical thinking and figure out for yourself, like, is this applicable to me? Is an ice bath logical for me? Is this crazy expensive hyperbaric chamber going to help me? In talking about extremes, this is a little bit of cognitive dissonance because, well, maybe for another time, I watch the NFL. I follow the Buffalo Bills, they're my team. And they are an example of a population that is playing with all of these different like biohacking things that are safe and they're non-pharmaceutical because they get tested, but they're playing with these things because they're trying to create this top of the human capacity performance, right? And so they're playing with these things to achieve that. And so that's where those extremes and the learnings from those can trickle down to the rest of the population. Like KT tape and things like that. I'm just hypothesizing probably started with athletes, professional athletes. And now, I have KT tape in my purse when I need it. Like there's a lot of things. So I guess like I tend to take like a sit back and critically think and kind of take what you need from the pot type of thing. I believe adults should be empowered in critical thinking. And when you do that, we don't need to create situations where we're placing judgment on everything. We can sit back and choose for ourselves what feels right. But yeah, are there some things in that world that are proven to be more dangerous than others? Sure. But everyone needs to be just thinking about it for themselves and deciding.
I think what's hard for people though is like it's hard to navigate the critical thinking side of health and nutrition because there's so much noise. So how are they able to decipher that hey, red light therapy, sauna, cold plunge is a thing for me or it's not a thing for me and like to what level? Because as you just said, I really like this that like we work, think and play in extremes and so, how does the everyday person implement some of these things that can be the biohacking things to help with a healthier lifespan, but not to an extreme? Because anything done to an extreme could be detrimental to your health too.
Of course, yeah. And I recommend this to my clients. It's part of my curriculum that we talk through our digital wellness. If you're struggling with noise and how to make a decision for yourself, get off social media. The decision-making power doesn't live on social media, it lives in your brain. Talk to yourself, journal, write it out, think, meditate, be with yourself to figure out if you want to try something. This is a great example. A new sauna opened in our area. It's the first floating sauna in the Northeast. It's very cool. I've gotten to know the owner. It's created a really awesome thing in our community. And I had a conversation with myself. Like, it's not necessarily like, I think the science is out there around sauna. A lot of it is more like anecdotal. There's a lot of cultural components in countries, especially in Scandinavia, that value saunas and things like that. It's a lifestyle component. So, how do you separate all those factors? But I said to myself, like, I don't usually tolerate heat very well. So I was like, okay, is there a way to cool off quickly? Like, what temperature is the sauna going to be at? Okay, let me go in and try it, having done a little bit of research and see how this feels for my body. And then the whole time I'm there, I'm thinking, how does this feel for my body? Is this working for me? Things like that. So, and sauna, in the examples you gave, is also pretty benign, right? If it's too hot, leave the room. Don't push yourself to a point where you would not feel comfortable getting up and leaving the room. So it's like, if you want to try something and it's resonant to you, just think about it a little bit ahead of time and see if it's a fit for you. There's other people who be like, I don't like hot, I don't like that kind of situation, or cold plunging. I'm not going to try cold plunging. I don't want to take an ice bath. I don't think it's going to be supportive for my hormones. That's my personal decision, right? So it's like, I hope that answers it. But if you're wondering if one of these things is relevant to you or if it's just hacky, spend some time on a credible place, get off social media, and think.
I love a sauna and I love a cold plunge, and I live in the Pacific Northwest. And so, like, that is a really fun thing to do on our dreary, you have a lot of dreary
Yes.
days there too, right? On the cloudy, cold days or rainy days, like going to the sauna and doing a cold plunge. We have a couple outdoor ones here. And I do really enjoy that. But what I see from a lot of people is they, again, take it to the extreme, that they're pushing past what their body is telling them they can tolerate, because they're like, no, I need to sit in this heat for X number of minutes, no matter what my body is telling me. And I need to spend X amount of minutes in the cold water, no matter what my body is telling me. But if we like brought it back down to like some of the more cultural things, how are they using it? And then actually listening to our body, we can actually use these things to be beneficial. Because what I noticed for myself, if I sauna and cold plunge, and I do like a lot of like data feedback information. So I've used the CGM when I did a sauna and cold plunge, and that helped to regulate my blood sugar. But when I'm cold plunging, I'm like in and out. I'm not sitting in there for 5 minutes. Like the longest I've been in is maybe 2 minutes. And then it's like, okay, it's time to get out. And the water temperature is like 50 degrees. So it's not like freezing water, it's brisk water. But then I'm asking myself, how do I feel in these situations afterwards? Am I feeling drained? Am I feeling fatigued? Or am I feeling energized? That's the critical piece, the critical thinking piece that I think is missing often when it comes to some of these different biohacking things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. If you see that, like, the research shows 10-minute sauna, 30-second cold plunge, 10-minute sauna, but you're on minute 7 in the sauna and you feel uncomfortable, your body's messages are much more important than what that research might say. And the other thing too is, if I'm going to try one of these things, what purpose does it serve and is it worth the resources? The other piece too I want to say is, like, this is where it also gets dicey. Am I using biohacking things or like the next wellness trend instead of like actually taking care of the basics? If I'm saunaing because I want to increase my mental endurance or my tolerance for the cold or something like that, like, okay, but if I'm saunaing because I want to sweat out toxins and I ate McDonald's for lunch and I usually eat a lot of processed foods, but I'm saunaing, so then it's a net neutral. No, that's not true at all. So you're just like kind of trend washing over your actual health.
I like that, trend washing.
I don't even know if it's a term, but
I
you're just
like it
like
though.
taking taking it in and not even, you're missing the point.
Exactly, exactly. We're bypassing the basics. You can't out supplement a diet or a lifestyle. You can't out biohack a diet or a lifestyle. Like, you have to really have those foundational things in place. And this should be an enhancement, not the replacement for what your body needs.
Yeah, and there should be a level of intentionality there. Am I going to the sauna as a social thing? Am I going because I think it's gonna do this and this? Do I want to accompany it with my meditation practice? Just whatever. Like, have some level of what is this for, and then evaluate resources.
I would love to hear your opinion around intermittent fasting and people doing long extended fasts for autophagy. Is that something that you've heard? I've heard this come up a lot of times, and I'm like, is it intermittent fasting or is it just a fancy term for some disordered eating that you're taking part of? And autophagy can happen in many ways as well. I would love to hear your insight on that.
I love this question, and I think a lot of dietitians are quick to be like, "No, fasting's not allowed." But I think again, our schooling was built on like advice for people who were not thinking critically, right? It was for any lowest common denominator type of recommendation. I love talking to people. I think you can probably tell that about me. I love asking people what they're up to. I love, mixing with other disciplines. And, I think it's really worth what is the purpose of this fasting? Right? Is this religious? I leave you alone. That's not, I don't butt in at all whatsoever. My opinion is irrelevant. Is it because you're trying to lose weight? Okay, we need to discuss and dig deeper here. Is it because you're trying to increase your cell turnover? Is it because it helps you feel mental clarity and you have a really important thing that you are trying to do to save the world? Like, it's all about context. I think it can serve a place. I mean, I have a loved one who has an autoimmune disorder, and she uses a lot of these different tactics like temperature regulation, sauna, sweating, scheduled fasts, things like that to keep herself in remission because the doctors weren't doing enough for her, and it's worked. But she also does it safely. She does it mindfully. She knows what its purpose is. So I think when we approach individuals that way, we can have that discussion. But again, if it's for, I'm doing this to punish myself, I'm doing, or like it could be a disordered eating pattern to create control over your body in an unhealthy way, then that's a red flag. I don't know. Everything is so context driven and so individual driven. And that's where the self-respect piece comes in, because you have to meet people where they are. You cannot just put up these walls and say, this advice that came out 50 years ago is what I'm going to apply to you. I just don't think that gets you anywhere.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and she was talking about how the last nutritionist she worked with was like having her spend a lot of time in the kitchen. She didn't have the capacity to do that, and like having her do things that seemed really complex. And like, so what it sounds like is that they were kind of creating their agenda and not really looking at what is your agenda as the client? What are your goals? What is your capacity? How can I meet you where you're at and then guide you to where you want to go without having all of these big shifts that feel unattainable to somebody?
Yeah, I agree.
I think that's part of that self-respect piece too. And like as a provider, respecting also the client and what's important to them and what they have the capacity for.
Yeah, and I think that isn't to say if I have a client doing something unsafe that I'm just going to support them in doing something unsafe. I'm very rooted in science and very rooted in facts. But, the wisdom that I've earned in these years of my career also allow me to say I can question things and I can look at multiple sources of research, and I can use a lot more discernment now when I know where that research was sponsored by, and we can decide what's actually right for you within the bounds of safety and logic and science.
And giving the client all of the information as well, not like gatekeeping anything, not approaching things with bias, but giving the information so that they can understand, like, as a clinician, here is my viewpoint, here's where I'm coming from with this information, and I want to help you to understand, meet you where you're at, and see what you're capable of in this journey. And the understanding that it takes time. I feel like a lot of people can feel like they should be able, as an everyday person, to understand how to navigate through all of the science of nutrition and wellness. And so they get frustrated with themselves when they don't have all the answers to things. And we can't all be an expert at everything.
It's my full-time job and my passion for so long, and I can't get through everything. It's way too much.
Hey, Healthy Buzz listeners, are you feeling like you're constantly struggling to hit your protein goals? Like, you should be getting more protein for energy, muscle support, and overall well-being, but you're not quite for sure how to make that happen without sacrificing flavor or other important nutrients. I get it. That's why I created the High Protein Power Plan, a delicious and easy to follow 7-day meal plan designed specifically for women who want to effortlessly reach 130 grams of protein or more every single day. Now, this isn't about bland chicken and broccoli. Inside, you're going to find mouth-watering recipes packed with flavor and designed to perfectly balance your macros. Think vibrant salads with protein powerhouses, satisfying bowls packed with flavor and nutrients, and easy dinner ideas that make hitting your goals a breeze without feeling deprived. This plan takes the stress out of high-protein eating and helps you feel your absolute best. Ready to finally unlock the power of high protein without the guesswork? Head on over to becollectivewellness.com to download your High Protein Power Plan today. It's time to nourish your body, feel amazing, and discover how delicious hitting your protein goals truly can be. So that kind of leads me to the next question around like the easy factor. So I know that one of your beliefs is that long-term health can be easy. So as we just talked about, it can feel hard. It can feel overwhelming. And we can sometimes get the message that it needs to be hard or it needs to be overwhelming in order for us to be able to like have the results that we want. So how can we help clients embrace that overwhelmingness and like switch it into this can be easy? How can we lower that barrier to entry?
Yeah, education and empowerment are those pathways into it. And here's why I say that it's easy, because it's literally just the basic pillars. It's real food, it's moving your body, it's social connection, it's stress management, and it's sleep. It's those five things. Our intuition knows that we need those five things. Everything in our cognitive conscious brain knows, our intelligence knows, and our subconscious knows. But we've made taking care of ourselves in those ways so hard in this modern world. And in the United States, the healthcare system has made that very difficult. The food system has made that very difficult. That's just scraping the surface. You absolutely have to go against the grain to take care of those five pillars in your life. And that's the only reason that it's difficult. But if you really boil it down, it is so easy when we get back in touch with our nature, get back in touch with our humanness, and quiet the noise. If you're taking care of those five things, you don't need to worry about, am I getting enough magnesium? Do I need a magnesium supplement? Like, do I need to take this next thing? Like, do I need to be cold plunging? Do I need to get, whatever it may be? You don't have to worry about that nearly as much, and you can much more clearly decide, okay, I'm taking care of these five things and something still feels off. I can at least feel way less overwhelmed by how to address that.
Let's just make this a little bit easier. What is
Yeah.
one thing that you would say for each of these categories is one thing that maybe somebody could implement today?
Eat at home. That means you went to the grocery store and you bought real food, or as the joke is always, ingredients, and then you turned it into a meal. You didn't have to worry about how it was cooked or what it was made with or getting your vegetables or things like that. You just, even if it's like a can of tuna, a sweet potato, and some salad mix, there's really no cooking. You just throw a sweet potato in the microwave or the oven whole, let it get soft, and you're good to go, right? So it's like, it can be really easy, and you've balanced your food groups and nothing was fried and you're getting fiber, you're getting protein. It's simple.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have to be a gourmet meal. I had somebody one time, one of my clients was like, but I need to like make it be a production. And I'm like, no, it does not. We can pull out some raw carrots. We can pull out some nuts. We can get some rotisserie chicken from the grocery store. We have a meal. Like it does not need to make sense. It does not need to go together and it does not need to be complicated at all.
Yep.
One thing for movement.
Just walk.
I would say that this was a big thing for me, that coming from a background where I was pretty influenced by diet culture, I had told myself that walking did not count as a workout ever. And so I really had to flip my mindset around the benefits of walking and how that actually could be more beneficial than the amount of stress I was putting on my body with these really hard, intense exercise and workout.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, and there's like a nuanced conversation around like non-exercise thermogenesis and like what our body adjusts to and things like that. But it's like, especially if you're starting from a place of overwhelm, exactly what you just said, the stress of feeling like I'm supposed to move, I'm supposed to this, I should. Just go walk. I don't care if it's cold, put some gloves, hat, jacket on, tall socks and just 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just build from there. Your body wants to move.
Can you explain for our listeners what that non-exercise activity thermogenesis is? They may not be familiar.
So it's basically what your body adjusts to as far as like movement. I'm not an expert on this, but like what you adjust to for movement every day. So like I've had one of the ones I think about a lot is I've had a handful of clients who are nurses and they are a challenge and a puzzle. And I love them very much in a completely unique nurse way. They are difficult clients and patients, but like they are on their feet for 12-hour shifts and then they're usually taking care of their homes, their families, or commuting home or everything else that every adult has to do in their life. And especially like they're walking like 20,000 steps a day on their step tracker. And they're like, well, I'm doing this. Like, I shouldn't even have to work out. Like, well, it's like, unfortunately, your body adjusts to that being your baseline movement. It's the same as someone who has been really sedentary and they start walking and they're like, wow, I feel the impact. And I'm only walking like a half a mile or, a couple thousand steps in the whole day, but I feel so much better. Our body adjusts and it kind of changes our baseline a little bit. And it also adjusts our metabolism and like how many calories, not, I don't want to get into calories, but how many calories is required to change our weight, for example.
Yeah, yeah. Those non-exercise activity thermogenesis sort of things that you just are doing around your house all day long. Like you said, the nurses are on their feet all day. They're walking around the whole hospital. They do get a lot of movement in there every day. So they have another non-exercise activity. But then there's also your intentional activity, your intentional movement that also plays a role in it too. So it's thinking about how your body adjusts and adapts, that metabolism kind of adjusts and adapts based on what your baseline is.
Yeah.
Okay, what is one thing for stress management?
Oh man, this is so individualized, but I guess I'll stick with the theme I was saying about noise and just journal. And if you're already journaling, maybe do it twice a day. That's a big one. I'm really on that right now. So I guess my answer will be journal.
One thing we could do for sleep.
Go to bed earlier. I guess the second one is like learn what your circadian rhythm is. Try to remove all the stimulants and all the downers and all the things that are known to mess with either being awake or being asleep and just try to see when your body's trying to wind down. And then maybe if you're really unsure, visit that depending on the season too.
I would say too, like for a lot of times, people will be like, my goal is to go to bed at, let's say, 10. But they don't realize that maybe they're getting off the couch at 10 to go to bed, but there's a lot of things. Maybe you got to let the dog out, then you got to brush your teeth, and you got to wash your face, and you got to da 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 da. And all of a sudden it's like 10:30, 11 because you had all these things. So you probably, if your goal is to be in bed by 10, you probably need to start heading to bed by at least 9:45 to actually get in bed by 10.
Yeah, and like science tries to say like this is the best time and this is the best app, but like when you pay attention, you can learn from experience, like when your window is. And I didn't even know that this was a thing. And maybe it's part of getting older, but if I miss my window, I like can't fall asleep for hours. I'm actually currently in an overtired cycle. So I'm very acutely aware of it right now, but I've missed my window and then it really like sets me back. But I can know that because I paid attention and figured out what my rhythm really is. When I'm in that rhythm, I'm out of bed at 5:30 in the morning. I feel great. I have energy throughout the day. But I will say if I mess it up, it just makes it harder for me. But yeah, and if you're not getting 7 hours of sleep a night, I think you really need to have a conversation with yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Community and social. What can we do for one thing to do for community and social?
Make a voice phone call, not a text. That's the lowest barrier one that I'll say. Pick up the phone and call someone. And if you are under, let's say, 40, maybe even a little older than that, it's possible that the person on the other line is to be like, is everything okay? Why are you calling me? Right? Maybe you usually text or maybe you approach your phone calls differently, but that's okay. Just say nothing's wrong. I just want to chat. I want to see how you're doing. I want to say hi. I want to connect. We've lost a little bit of that, and I think it's very important. And maybe some of you have not lost that at all, and that's really, really good. But it's not the same connection as texting. That serves its purpose. That's great too. But if you're like, I would really like to nurture this a little bit more, that can be a really good low barrier step.
Yeah, I would say too, I'm going to elevate that a little bit more, is like pick up the phone and just call when you think of it. Because I know some of my friends will be like, hey, I want to talk to you. When can we talk? When can we set up a phone date? And like last week, I was like, I really feel like talking to my friend today. We normally like set up a phone date, make sure that we're both available. I'm like, I'm just going to call her. I'm going to call her and see what happens. and we talked for an hour. It was great. Granted, we both had the capacity in our schedule to do that. So if your phone does ring and it's your friend randomly calling you and you don't have the time, you can pick up the phone and say, "Hey, I'd love to talk with you, but I'm really busy right now. I'll call you back later." Like making that human connection is so important.
Yeah, absolutely. And hearing someone's voice, and it makes it all the sweeter when it's spontaneous and it works. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with scheduling either, but make it fun when you can.
Yeah. So I would say for everybody that's listening, so we just gave you like 5 things. Pick one. Pick one of those 5 things to implement because sometimes 5 sounds like a lot. And what do you have the capacity for right now? Pick one thing from that list that Emily shared with you and run with that for a week or two. Then add in another one. Run with that. Like building up so that you don't feel like this is too much for you to do and it's too overwhelming. So I know that you kind of have a bold stance around like doing exercise that we love versus doing exercise that we're told to do. Let's say someone who's listening right now absolutely is dreading their 5 a.m. workout. What is your professional permission for them to do instead?
Stop working out at 5. Don't do it. Do something else. Work out at a different time. I have a very busy life. I have 2 young children. I'm continually astounded by how much and how hard I work working for myself compared to working for other people. The math doesn't math. Like if I had told myself this as I got deeper and deeper and deeper, I wouldn't have believed it and maybe wouldn't have done it. But you still find ways to fit things in. I really am one of those people who thinks there can be time, it's all about priorities, right? And like cut yourself slack, find the balance, but like be real with yourself. I really believe that if you're someone who's like, I hate exercise, you just haven't found the right exercise. So if you're dreading your 5 a.m. workout, I have questions to give you the best, response, but then don't do it. You shouldn't be doing something you're dreading. Like, let's figure out why you're dreading it and address it appropriately.
Yeah, because it could be a multitude of things. Maybe you're tired. Maybe you need to sleep longer. Maybe you need to stop setting an alarm to do a 5 a.m. workout on Monday when really Monday is the worst day of the week for you and your life and your schedule. You can miss a Monday. Here's the thing that I tell my clients too: your body does not know what day of the week it is. We created a calendar and we had this like, we have to start things on Monday. I have to start my workout on Mondays. Monday may maybe not be the best day. What about a Sunday? What about a Friday? Like, why are we so tied down to this calendar and the calendar telling us when we need to start and stop things?
Yeah, because we're doing that instead of nature. So, yeah, I mean, we all have to survive in this world. But yeah, you're right. I love that. You don't have to do it. I have the same stance on New Year's resolutions. When it's actually time for you to make a change and it's all aligned and a change is about to happen, you don't need to wait for the calendar to tell you to do it. Just like you don't need to wait for Monday.
So, what about like that stress of doing a workout that you despise? Like, how is that affecting longevity, the stress part, hormones? What piece is that stress of maybe pushing too much and doing these things that we don't like having?
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing something you don't like and you actively went into it knowing you did not like it, you are just betraying yourself. Like you're really kind of calling into jeopardy your self-trust. That's definitely not an act of self-respect. Does that mean you don't want to go to your job and you hate your job, but you're using it to pay your bills? Does that mean I'm saying quit your job? No, I'm just saying start looking for a new job. In the meantime, let's, trudge through. We live in America and we have to work. Like, but the stress of doing something that you don't want to do, or even that you hate and that you're choosing to make yourself do, is really an act of self disrespect. So I would cease that pretty much immediately and figure out some alternatives. Of course, it can raise your stress hormones, but the dis-ease you're creating within yourself and the disconnection is just going to cause so many ripple effects. Like you're not going to show up for yourself. Everything's going to get foggier. And I think it's just really such a shame how often that happens for all of us.
I have worked with a lot of clients that as we start unpacking, we recognize like a lot of dissatisfaction with like their job situation. And so we are like kind of walking through like, what are the benefits of staying? What are the benefits of finding something else? Can you do a sabbatical? How would that impact your health and wellness? Because a lot of times when they're burning the candle at both ends, they don't have the boundaries in place where they can close their laptop, at the end of the day and leave. And I think that's a fault with like the whole working from home shift that happened with COVID. Everybody is on their working all the time. We don't have the physical, I'm leaving the office, I'm leaving the hospital, I'm leaving my job to go home. And so it became so ingrained in us that like, oh, we work kind of around the clock, nonstop. So as we peel back layers, it's like, how much joy is this job actually bringing you? Is it hindering your progress in your health and wellness journey as we're trying to correct gut imbalances and get your hormones into a better place? Is it something we need to evaluate on the impact it's having here?
Yeah, definitely. Any area of your life that is making your life harder should be visited.
And we're not saying that like everybody go quit their job because that's not realistic either. But maybe it's having a conversation with your boss. Maybe it's having a conversation with your team. Maybe it's having a conversation with your family about like the support that you need. What are the expectations? I always tell my clients, here's what you can expect from me as we work in this journey together. If I fail to do any of these things that I have shared with you that I will be doing for you, you need to call me out on it. But also, I'm going to respect you and I expect you to respect me as well in this process together. Like, I don't answer messages on the weekend. They know that, right? I have to have some boundaries in place.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I know that you focus a lot on like metrics of joy. How do we know if we are having joy in our life? How can we shift to having more joy in our life to also be combined with that self respect? And how does that contribute to a healthier lifespan?
Yeah, I mean, joy is really whatever you want to, I mean, it has a definition, of course, but like how you want to see it. Like, I can say some of mine. Like, do you find yourself like humming and singing to yourself sometimes? Like, I was like, wow, like I'm doing that again. Like, I haven't done that in a decade, right? Like, do you find yourself gravitating toward upbeat music or true crime podcasts? What's going on in the background, right? And then, like, when you're in a moment of joy, like you're with a loved one, you're at your favorite concert, you're doing an immersive activity you love, like, are you allowing yourself to like receive that joy? And are you allowing yourself to be with that joy? It can be really surface, it can be really deep. It is both. But like, let's go back to the workout, for example. Like, are you looking forward to your exercise for the day? Is there something about that workout that can feel really joyful to you? Are you allowing yourself to experience seasonality? I'll go through phases where I love classes, structured classes. And then I'll go through phases where I'm so social and busy in my work that I want my workout to just be myself, my music, and my weights. And then like, are you allowing yourself those things? And if you're not finding joy in something you used to find joy in, it's time to sit down with yourself, maybe with a pen and paper, and figure out why. So, as far as how everyone measures joy, I think is really individualized. But I think those are just some ways to think about it and some of the ways that I look at it with my clients. Like, maybe dread is the opposite of joy. So am I dreading this or am I looking forward to it? And then like really see how those sensations feel. And then what comes up when you think about cooking dinner, when you think about going to the neighborhood barbecue, when you think about waking up at 5:30 in the morning for your workout, whatever it may be.
I think, though, for middle aged women, a lot of us are so disconnected from the things that do bring us joy and we have forgotten and they're taking a back seat. Because that is something I ask my clients often too is like, what do you do for joy? What brings you joy? What do you do for fun right now? And they're like, I work, I take care of my family, I go to bed. I'm like, okay, where can we bring in one joyful activity for you in a week? Is it you really enjoy reading, but you feel like you don't have time to read? Okay. Probably reading at home, if you have a really busy household, maybe isn't the best environment for you. Can you take yourself on a little date to the local coffee shop? Go grab a coffee, sit and read your book. Leave this phone, leave this device. That's not going to bring you joy, my friend, unless you're calling your friend and you're talking to your friend, like we talked about, right?
Right, right.
But have some intentional time for yourself, carving it out, expressing to your family what your needs are, that I would like to do this. And that's going to make you a more happy person to be around as well when we create the time to do the things that bring us joy and connect with the things that bring us joy instead of just pushing through and being like, I have no time for me.
Yeah, I used to have a hard time asking people this because I think I was in a season of this myself where it's like, what do you do for fun? And I was like, I would just lock up. I don't know. Right? Like, I don't know and I really like the example I have for this is a Christmas party a couple years ago with the extended family on my husband's side. And one of the cousins was like, "What's new?" or something like that, or "What have you been up to?" And I was like, "Oh my God, nothing." And it struck me so it was like it wasn't nothing, right? Like I had my two young kids, like I was, had my career. I wasn't doing this yet for myself. So, it wasn't nearly as exciting. But all that to be said, I just felt like, oh my God, like nothing's new. First of all, I wasn't really giving myself credit. I just had a baby. A lot was new, but like for a non-kid adult, it felt like nothing else was really new. And I felt like I was in a slump. And it really struck me that I wasn't doing things for me as an individual, whole human being outside of my household. And I've never answered that question the same way again. So that is another thing of like what joy means to me. And it's a constant balance. There's no lack of empathy for women. I'm not quite to midlife yet, but I'm right along in a lot of the same things. And you have to be really pragmatic with yourself. Like, how am I going to find this? And you have to believe that you are worth being a whole human being outside of your to-do list.
I love that. I think that right there, mic drop. I think that's a great way to wrap up today's conversation. Is there anything else that you want people to know, our listeners to know, when it comes to like health span, longevity, how to find joy and self-respect in their journey?
Yeah, there's so much. We talked about so many of the most important things. There's so many other things we could talk about too. But really, like, if you grew up as, believing a lot of the things we all believe, that sickness is inevitable, and, for a lot of us, our genetics play a really big role, or, there's going to be things that happened, or, as people say, shit happens. There's a lot we can't control. But guess what? There's a lot we can, like as far as lifespan and health span go, if you even out all the research, it's like 80% is within our lifestyle factor control and our environment and things like that. So if you are in a place of privilege where you can control your environment, what you eat, how you move, how you sleep, your relationships, how you manage stress, you can do so much for yourself, and you don't have to get a chronic disease by the time you're 50 or younger. So I guess like that's the thing. And there's a few people out there starting to say, you don't have to die of chronic diseases. Wow, let's lean into that.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I love that. Okay, Emily, well, that was so great. I think everybody can resonate with that so much. So how can they connect with you? How can they learn more about working with you at what you do with Healthier Span?
Yeah, so I host my newsletter and my content hub is on Substack. So you can find me there, search Emily Horstman RD. And the title of the Substack is Antidotes for Aging and Anxiety. So either of those should bring me up, and we'll link it in the show notes. And then my Instagram handle is Aging Better RD. And you can also find me on my website, which is healthierspan.com.
Oh, I love it. Okay. Everybody go check out what Emily has to offer. She has so much good insight on this. And thank you so much for being here today, Emily.
Thank you, Brandy.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Healthy Buzz. I hope this conversation has left you feeling seen, supported, and ready to take the next step in your health journey. Love what you heard? Make sure you subscribe to Healthy Buzz so you never miss an honest conversation. And if you found this valuable, please take a moment to leave a review. I truly appreciate it. For exclusive weekly tips and holistic strategies, be sure to subscribe to my weekly newsletter. The link is in the show notes. Remember, this isn't just nutrition, it's permission to trust your body. I'll catch you on the next episode of Healthy Buzz.